Hello, good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. So before we get started, if you could type in the chat box that you can hear me. I know there's about a 5 to 10-second delay on these webinars, so I'm just going to open up the chat box there and look to see if everybody can hear me okay before we get going. So I'll give that a couple minutes here, or see if everybody can hear me okay. So yeah, just type in the chat box, say hello, good evening. We'll give it here another minute or two for people to get on. I just want to make sure everybody's ready and situated to go for tonight's webinar. So feel free to just say hi in the chat box. That would be great. And we'll get going here. Okay, I can see a few people are on, and people are still getting on. So if somebody could just say hi in the chat box for me, that would be great. Just so I know you're hearing me okay. Oh, thank you, Jean. I really appreciate that. So without further ado, we're going to get going here. So to not be distracting on the screen, I'm going to take myself off the screen for the moment, and we're going to get going. Hi, Sherry. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. So first of all, I want to welcome you all here this evening to the Fix Your Gut, Save Your Life webinar. And once we get into this, you're going to understand why I say save your life. I'm so glad you are here, and I know your time is valuable, and there is likely a whole lot of other things you could be doing right now. I hope that at the end of this webinar that you will have a better understanding of how important gut health truly is, and why and how it may be contributing to the symptoms you are suffering from. The health of your gut is incredibly important for your overall health. Its role is to obtain, sort through, and deliver nutrients to the rest of your body. If this does not occur correctly, a wide variety of health complications can take place, such as digestive distress, can affect your immune system, your mood, your hormones. And it's really a big player in a lot of chronic diseases, including autoimmune diseases, which are really on the rise. Maybe you don't know if you have a gut health issue or not, but if you're having issues like with fatigue or joint pain or unexplained rashes, headaches, or more, you want to keep listening, because those vague symptoms that you're having may well be due to the health of your gut. Now, before we really get started here, feel free to introduce yourself and chat with each other in the chat box, because I think we can all learn from one another, and it's a good way to interact and so forth. So go ahead, say hello, and while you're doing that, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Laura Dankoff. I'm a holistic and functional medicine nurse practitioner, and I've been practicing that way for several years. And if you're not really familiar with the term functional medicine, it is guided by some key principles. We are all unique individuals with varying needs based on our genetics, our environment, and our own personal health history. Therefore, your care should be very individualized. We all don't fit into the same kind of a box. In order to do that and to understand that, we as clinicians, we really need to just listen to you. I mean, I learned so much just by hearing patients' stories over the years, and through their stories, that really helps me kind of figure out what's going on and get to the root cause. And this can help direct your care and help you to heal. Functional medicine also means taking a very holistic approach to your treatment that is focused on the root cause of each issue, rather that be simply treating it's not simply just treating a symptom like we can do in conventional medicine a lot of the time. As a functional practitioner, I am going to look at your unique and complex mix of interactions between nutrition and your environment, your physical activity, your stress level, and how all of that's impacting your health. So I want to tell you a little bit about me and why I ventured into functional medicine. I'll just kind of come back on the screen here for a little bit and kind of tell you about that. You know, like a lot of us that get into functional medicine, there's usually something that's happened in our own lives, either with our own health or that of a family member. I really have a couple of different stories, you know, and I'll try to keep it brief, but before my 3rd birthday, I actually was diagnosed with a duodenal stomach ulcer and was in the hospital for a week. This, mind you, my mom had to leave me there, and I had 2 sisters even younger than me, one of them being 10 months old, and then my other brothers and sisters. There was 10 of us at the time. I'm one of 13 children. And from that point, I had a really touchy stomach most of my life. I remember standing at the counter and my mom giving me Maalox as a little kid to try to help my stomach issues. And those kind of cleared up and resurfaced, you might say, in my early 20s, and then again later on when I was under a lot of stress. At the time this kind of resurfaced, our youngest daughter, who was born with a blood disorder that's hereditary, had to have her spleen and her gallbladder taken out at the age of 7. And once you have your spleen out, that affects part of your immune system. And the treatment at the time, they recommended that she be on antibiotics every day till the age of 21. Well, not knowing any differently at the time, you know, we did exactly what they said. You know, this was our daughter. We didn't want anything to happen to her health. And then, I think it was probably about 5 years later, she had been doing okay, much better than she had done the first 7 years of her life. But then she developed this raging case of eczema. And I immediately thought to myself, oh my gosh, it's those darn antibiotics. I think she's got yeast overgrowth. Just intuitively, I knew that was the source of what was going on with her skin. So I stopped the antibiotics. I thought, this is crazy. I'm putting these in the cupboard. And I took her into the hematologist, her blood doctor, told him what I had done, and I got reamed a good one, and he told me to put her back on those antibiotics or I was going to kill her right in front of her. And it was at that day I, you know, was really on a crusade for her health. Mind you, at the same time this was going on, I was in the midst of going into grad school and working full time. I also consulted with her dermatologist and said, you know, I think it's the antibiotics. I think it's yeast on her skin. She even had a positive skin scraping for yeast. And at first he wanted to put her on steroids, which I know now, and maybe some of you know now, that causes more yeast overgrowth. Then he wanted to put her on an immunomodulating agent. And what that does is it further suppresses your immune system. And one of the potential side effects on it said lymphoma. I thought, I am not doing what they want, you know, so I was trying to figure out where to turn. So I called my sister-in-law in Colorado, where my husband and I now live. We just moved here in the last year. And I asked her for some help and asked her if she knew of anybody that could help us treat her. And sure enough, she knew of someone, and she sent me some things in the mail, and we detoxified her body and helped to treat her. So this was a huge turning event for us. In the midst of that, I was going to grad school, and my health started to have issues too because of all the stress. And I started not only having gut issues, but I started having hormonal issues and so forth. So needless to say, that is what led me into functional medicine. Just through that whole process, I stumbled upon functional medicine, and I thought it made so much sense and definitely was the way to go if I was going to help myself and my daughter and also the patients I was going to be treating. So as you can see, you know, we all that are in functional medicine oftentimes get there because of some life event that we've had ourselves. So, having said that, are you ready to uncover your best health? That's what we're going to be talking about here tonight. And of course, before I go much further, I need to give my loving disclaimer to let you know that the information you're going to receive this evening is for information and educational purposes only and is not a replacement for seeking appropriate medical care. Also, I want to let you know that I will be taking questions at the end, and we'll be sharing a very exciting program offer with you on how you can work with me further. So be sure to stay to the end. There are many people suffering and are not getting the answers they need. Let me ask, does this sound like you? For years, I've had acid reflux after I eat. I tried everything and I feel hopeless. I'm scared to eat and I don't want to take those stupid purple pills anymore. Or I have constant brain fog and fatigue and constipation, yet all the tests come back normal. Or maybe this is you. My sinuses are always plugged and I always seem to have a headache and feel bloated. My goal here tonight is that by the end, you're going to have hope and that there are some things that you can start doing after tonight for yourself that can really start to help turn things around is the goal here. Because I can talk a lot tonight and I do have a lot to share with you, but I want to make sure that you have some tools that you can use. Your gut is vitally important. Believe it or not, it is estimated that 70 million people suffer from digestive issues. This is an alarming number. And it is also estimated that 15 million Americans have food intolerances, whether they realize it or not. And quite honestly, most don't. Your gut health makes up 70% of your immune system. Therefore, if your immune system is chronically compromised, it's likely due to poor gut health. Your gut is also referred to as your body's second brain. If that's not enough to convince you that how important your gut health is, I don't know what is. I always say the gut is the epicenter for your health. And poor gut health causes, like I mentioned in the beginning, it can cause autoimmune diseases, hormonal imbalances like I started having, mental illness. The number of people in this country with mental illness is exploding, and nobody's asking, could it have anything to do with what we're consuming, what they're eating? I mean, it can make a huge difference. Your gut health can also be a factor with diabetes and weight gain. So many women I know that are going through hormonal changes, particularly between the ages of 35 and 55, a lot of them are having weight loss resistance, and that's due to inflammation. And where does that inflammation start? It starts in the gut. Other people might have skin conditions like my daughter did. So rebuilding that health of your gut is such a big deal. The gut, or the gastrointestinal system, is an incredible gateway to optimal health, as you can imagine. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said over 2,000 years ago that all disease begins in the gut. And boy, we should have listened to Hippocrates. We're now kind of figuring it out, and we could have saved a lot of pain and suffering in between there. The gut microbiome is an ecosystem of organisms, including bacteria and yeast and fungi and viruses and protozoa that inhabit our entire digestive tract. Far beyond just your digestive health, virtually every system in your body is tied to your gut health. As I shared with you in the beginning, this includes things like your immune system, your hormones, your nervous system, your circulatory system, your skin, and more. Therefore, I can't stress enough how important gut health is and why improving it can literally save your life. The gut is often referred to, as I mentioned, as the second brain. So aside from affecting or all those systems that I mentioned, it's also important to how we absorb our nutrients, how we produce our vitamins, how our bodies detoxify, and impacting our mood. So are you suffering from things such as digestive distress, like bloating and gas and constipation, diarrhea, heartburn, or been diagnosed with irritable bowel? Or maybe you have a skin condition like acne, unexplained rashes, dry itchy skin, or eczema, or you have asthma and you've had all the tests and they say, well, all your tests look okay, but yet you keep having these asthma attacks, or you produce a lot of postnasal drip or colds or excess mucus, or you struggle with anxiety and depression or sleep, or you have that weight loss resistance or fluid retention. Maybe you suffer from migraine headaches, brain fog, fatigue, or irritability. All of these things and more can be influenced by the health of your gut. So, as you can see, it affects a lot of things. And that's why, given the unique health challenges we are facing today, you may want to consider working with a functional practitioner such as myself. Functional medicine serves as a combination of using both conventional and complementary health care. It uses a model of personalized care. It means looking for and treating root cause of each issue and promoting sustainable health. Functional medicine is revolutionizing the medical field, and it's empowering you, the patient, to better understand the imbalances in your body and how these imbalances affect your health and the solutions available to support your normal healing. So, are you asking at this point, what is up with the gut? What is competing with your gut and keeping you from feeling well? Let's discuss what is sabotaging your gut health, and then I'm going to go over strategies to help regain control of your health and life from a functional medicine approach. The gut is powerful yet delicate. There are many different factors that inhibit the gut's ability to maintain its good versus bad bacterial balance, its structural integrity, and its absorptive qualities, or how well you're absorbing those nutrients. So first, before we kind of get into some things you can do to start healing, it's important to understand what are some of the culprits that are contributing. What are those enemies to your gut health? Well, first and foremost, is the standard American diet, or SAD, is definitely a factor. Our diets have way too much sugar, chemicals, additives, and preservatives that are lacking in nutrients and fiber, and this contributes to an unhealthy ecosystem within the gut. Excessive use of medications such as antibiotics and steroids and anti-inflammatories such as Aleve and ibuprofen and naproxen, and acid blocking drugs such as Prilosec and Nexium and others. All of these things disrupt the gut's microbial balance. Also, not having adequate digestive enzyme activity. We need sufficient digestive enzymes to help break down our food, but also to absorb the nutrients from our food. And as we get older, the amount of digestive enzymes that we produce when we chew our food tend to get depleted or go way down, particularly after the age of 40. The other thing is we eat too fast as Americans, and if we just slow down and really chewed our food and ate mindfully, that act helps you produce some of those enzymes. Another factor is toxins. Our bodies are being bombarded by so many toxins in our air and our water and our food and even our personal care products, what we put on our skin. All of these are factors that our body, not only in our gut, but our livers have to really be able to detoxify out, and it's just a huge stress on the body. This stress on the gut and how it impacts your immune system in that gut also is going to make you more susceptible to bacteria and yeast and viruses and parasites overgrowing within that intestinal tract. And of course, chronic stress will knock down your immune system in a heartbeat. And this is going to affect how well you're digesting, but just your normal gut motility as well. So let's look at a few more facts here. A study from the United States Department of Agriculture conducted one in 2009, and it reported that 63% of the calories Americans are consuming, 63%, come from processed foods containing preservatives, refined grains, added sugars, and bad oils. In 2010, the USDA revealed that approximately 1,000 calories of the 775 calories consumed in a day are not coming from healthy sources. Only about 424 of those calories are actually coming from fruits and vegetables. And quite honestly, I don't eat that many calories in a day, but some people do. And so the point is that we are not getting enough nutrients. We are nutrient deprived. The National Cancer Institute also said that 3 out of 4 Americans do not eat a single fruit in a day, and that 9 out of 10 don't really get enough of the minimum requirements of vegetables. So as you can see, this is a huge issue for most Americans. While everyone's dietary needs are extremely different, there are general guidelines that everyone can benefit from adhering to. The ideal diet for someone looking to prevent gut imbalances and heal from gut dysfunction and reverse the gut damage, first and foremost, means eating real, whole, preferably organic foods, so unprocessed foods. So you don't have to worry about all that crap being put into your food. You know, you want to shop the outside aisles of the store, and that's where you get the bulk of your food from. You know, an apple's an apple, spinach is spinach, nuts are nuts. So the bulk of our diet should be coming from these whole unprocessed foods, plant-based fibers, lots of fruits and vegetables, beans and legumes, nuts and seeds, and non-dairy fermented foods. To determine your specific dietary needs, it is recommended to follow through with an elimination diet, which I'm going to explain here in a moment. An elimination diet is a great diagnostic tool to determine what foods are irritating or that you're sensitive to that can be creating inflammation in your gut and causing that gut lining to be compromised. However, sometimes even doing an elimination, it's hard to figure things out. And I've seen this plenty of times. People will come in and they'll have taken out all the common foods that you're supposed to take out with an elimination diet, and they're still not feeling well. Sometimes it's very healthy foods that they're actually sensitive to. And that's when food sensitivity testing can be a benefit, because you can actually find out what foods you're actually truly sensitive to at that point in time. And there are good and bad food sensitivity tests out there, but this is something certainly I could help you with if you're interested in looking into that further for yourself. So having said that, an elimination diet is administered in a way that removes common food irritants that can be sabotaging your health. So what you might want to do right now is grab a piece of paper and a pen, because you might want to take some notes, particularly if you want to start applying these things after tonight's webinar. You're going to have some tools that you can get started with. So the foods that are most commonly recommended to be taken out of your diet when you're doing a food elimination are dairy, gluten, soy, corn, eggs, refined sugars, peanuts, red meat, alcohol, caffeine, hydrogenated oils like vegetable oil, canola oil, things like that, and packaged and processed foods. So a lot of functional practitioners will tell you to take all of these out at one time, and you exclude them from your diet for at least 21 days to allow time for the negative food-related immune reactions to disappear. And once you have waited the proper amount of time, you will begin to reintroduce each food one at a time, like wait at least 3 to 4 days. So maybe you start with eggs and you wait 3 to 4 days. Check and see, are you having a reaction to that? Were you starting to feel better, and then you reintroduce that, and within that 3 to 4 days of reintroducing that food, are you feeling yucky again? This is a clue that you could be sensitive to that food, and I would take it out. And you also want to think where those foods are hidden in. So you don't want to buy any packaged things, because there's that possibility you could be exposing yourself unknowingly with that food. And, you know, that's certainly one way to do it. Another way to do it is you just take out one of these food items at a time for 3 to 4 weeks. And if you notice you are feeling better, you can be assured that you've got an issue with that particular food. Another thing I get asked, does that mean I have to take these foods out forever? Your food sensitivities can change over time, and sometimes it might be a never, sometimes it might be you may have to take it out for 3 months up to a year, and then you try to reintroduce that particular food. But quite honestly, when it comes for a lot of people, gluten and dairy, we just don't break down those proteins well. And the issue with gluten, whether you're sensitive or not, it has to do with farming practice. It is just highly adulterated with chemicals during the harvesting process, and that is a whole another issue for sure. So now you might be wondering, well, what can I eat if I'm taking out all of these foods? You know, what's left? There's plenty of foods left. So the thing that was not on that list I gave you was vegetables, with the exception of corn, which I think corn's more of a starch anyway. Lots of whole fruits, you know, and if you don't have access to whole fruits, you know, if it's a seasonal thing, you can get fresh, not only the fresh ones, but try frozen, you know, go to your frozen section and you can buy a bag of organic frozen berries. You can also consume dairy substitutes such as almond milk and coconut milk, hemp milk, rice milk, lean and clean animal proteins that are, you know, grass-fed or organically raised, such as wild game and lamb, organic chicken, and wild salmon, nuts and seeds, lots of beans and legumes with the exception of soy and peanuts. You can also try some gluten-free grains like rice and quinoa and amaranth and buckwheat. You can use high-quality oils such as coconut oil and avocado and olive oil. You can consume herbal teas and natural sweeteners such as honey and stevia, and really experiment with spices. So there's lots of things that you can consume on a food elimination that you won't be deprived. So let me just stop here for a moment and ask, does anyone listening have any experience with doing an elimination diet? And did you find that helped, or kind of what your struggles were with that? So if you feel like sharing, you know, just type it in the chat box now. And if you have done an elimination diet, you can just say, yes, I've done one, I've tried it, it helped, it didn't help. And this is where, if it didn't help, it might have been that the foods that you took out weren't the foods you were sensitive to, that's where testing might be helpful, or it was more foods than what you had taken out. Like I said, I've seen plenty of times where it's been very healthy foods as well. So feel free to share in the chat box. Okay, so let's take a moment to discuss sugar. We all know it's bad, right? Americans consume over 150 pounds of refined sugar per year. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of sugar. Sugar is hiding, though. You may say, I don't eat a lot of sugar, but it's really can be hiding in our food supply in so many things. I mean, look at your salad dressing, for example. There's a lot of sugar in there, or your ketchup bottle, for example. And you can see it as different names that you might not know that it's a sugar on a food label. So if it says high fructose corn syrup or corn sweetener or cane juice or malt syrup, or another one to look for is an ingredient ending in O, the letters OSE. Those are sugars. So that would be like dextrose and fructose and glucose and maltose and lactose and sucrose. They all end in OSE. So if you see that on a food label, it's because it's just sugar. So unfortunately, sugar is one of the most detrimental anti-nutrients for a healthy gut. It promotes the growth of bad bacteria. It hinders the growth of beneficial bacteria. It contributes to the deterioration of the digestive system's mucosal barrier. It feeds gut healing fungi such as Candida albicans and promotes intestinal permeability, or that leaky gut. Sugar causes inflammation, and inflammation leads to disease. More than anything else, it's that inflammation. It's just a matter of where in the body that inflammation decides to show up as to what disease may crop up for you. It also is going to depend on where your genetic weak spots are. So the takeaway here is to try to cut out the sugar as much as possible. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the gluten issue. We can't talk about healing your gut without talking about gluten. The prevalence of gluten allergies and sensitivities have been on a steady and steep rise. However, research has been suggesting that even those without diagnosed intolerances may still experience digestive distress from the consumption of gluten. And here's why. Gluten directly affects the integrity of that intestinal lining due to the production of a protein called zonulin, that's Z-O-N-U-L-I-N, zonulin. Zonulin helps to open up the protective tight junctions in that intestinal lining, and that's what causes this leaky gut thing to happen. And then when you have leaky gut, this sets you up to have more issues with not being able to clear toxins and microbes, and you start producing antibodies to things and have reactions. And then undigested food particles can get into your bloodstream, and these antibodies are released as these proteins, and they start attacking the bodies, and with gluten in particular, it's attacking the prominent building block of the gluten called gliadin. These antibodies contribute to the secretion of inflammatory chemicals, which lead to damage to other healthy tissues. In other words, your body is reacting simply to the consumption of the gluten by creating a defense mechanism to fight it. Once this damage has occurred within the digestive tract, it is then distributed throughout the entire body. What is one of the biggest contributors to increased zonulin? Can you guess? It's glyphosate. So glyphosate is that nasty poison that, in my opinion, and many others, should be banned. We all know about the case of the large company out in California who will remain nameless, but this zonulin is breaking down our intestinal barriers, and the incidence of autoimmune disease parallels on a scale with a trajectory going nothing but upward in line with the increased use of glyphosate. And that is why, in many respects, none of us should be consuming anything with wheat or gluten in it. While gluten is found in the majority of grains such as wheat, barley, spelt, and rye, not all grains contain gluten. Many gluten-free grains should be avoided while working to heal your gut as well, however. Brown rice and beans or legumes, for example, contain phytic acid. Now, earlier I mentioned how you could sometimes eat rice and beans and legumes when you're doing an elimination, but if you are someone that has problems with this phytic acid, you're going to want to either avoid these beans and legumes, or at the very least you want to soak the beans and legumes, because phytic acid is difficult for a lot of people to break down and digest, which leads to inflammation within the digestive tract. This phytic acid also affects how well you're going to absorb key minerals such as magnesium and calcium and zinc, and makes our digestive enzymes less efficient and causes other digestive distress. So soaking or sprouting grains can help remove this phytic acid's protective covering and make them more digestible in moderation. However, for most people, it is best just to avoid the grains in the early stages of gut healing altogether. Okay, a few more facts here. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 48.5% of Americans are taking at least one prescription drug, and 21.7% are taking 3 or more. Some of the many medications that have been proven to disrupt the bacterial balance in the gut are affecting digestive health. This includes the anti-inflammatories and the steroids and the antibiotics and the birth control pills and the antidepressants. And in most cases, lifestyle change may help to replace a lot of these medications. It's not easy. You have to kind of make a concerted effort to make a permanent versus a temporary lifestyle change. All this overuse of medications is just creating inflammation and more stress on our guts and our immune system. So the more we can do to improve our health through healthy lifestyle, the better off we're going to be. Your body needs a sufficient amount of digestive enzymes as well in order to break down those foods, as I mentioned earlier. Without them, the food that you eat would not be broken down into the form that your body can actually absorb. So it's just getting moved right on through the system. So individual nutrients that those enzymes helps are our vitamins and our minerals and our amino acids, which affects everything in our body. Your body produces digestive enzymes from your pancreas, your stomach, and your salivary glands, and your small intestine. Decreased production of these digestive enzymes can be caused by not only medications such as acid blocking medications, but if you have a zinc deficiency, all the pesticides and chemicals on the food, the excessive intake of unsaturated bad fats, heavy metal consumption, and many more. So you might be saying, well, I don't consume heavy metals. You unknowingly consume heavy metals in your food and in your air and in your water. But above all, these lack of enzymes are usually due to poor health. Additionally, as we age, we begin to naturally produce, as I had mentioned, less and less of our digestive enzymes. They actually go down by about 50% by the time we reach age 45 to 55. Long story short is it's important to stabilize, preserve, and supplement your digestive enzymes in order to absorb the nutrients effectively and efficiently. This can be done by including more raw food in your diet, eliminating the processed food, and taking a reputable digestive enzyme in some cases as well. So what about probiotics? So probiotics means pro-life, and are live bacteria which live mostly in the lower portion of our GI tract. They produce substances that help to balance your gut's microbiome by promoting healthy bacteria, and they hinder the bad bacteria from taking over. Probiotics can be lost because of a poor diet or medications, or from exposure to oxidative stress. So oxidative stress, that occurs from not only poor diet, but stress, even how you cook. For instance, a lot of us want to use olive oil because it's healthy. But believe it or not, if you cook with olive oil, when you heat it up, it becomes oxidative, pro-oxidative, or inflammatory. So the type of oils that are good at high heat would be like a coconut oil. That's going to be better for you than using olive oil at high heat. Olive oil is better at room temperature. But back to the probiotics, luckily there are some ways that you can try to improve the amount of probiotics and prebiotics that you are getting in your diet. Now, Greek yogurt's a great source unless, you know, the dairy is going to become an issue, and you want to make sure it's a lower sugar one and it's got a lot of fruits and colorings and things like that. Kefir and sauerkraut. So sauerkraut, this would be sauerkraut you find organic and in the refrigerator section of your health food store, or that you make yourself. Tempeh and miso and kimchi. And also kombucha is very popular. The thing with kombucha, though, you got to really be careful with is if you're buying store-bought, it can contain a lot of sugars. And, you know, certainly making your own is going to be a better option. But again, a little bit goes a long way. You may also want to explore further supplementation by taking a probiotic supplement. Oh, sorry about that. However, not everyone's going to tolerate a probiotic, or their body's going to be ready for it. And then there's the question of what probiotic strain should I take, because there's a plethora of probiotics out there on the market now. And it really kind of depends. You want to look for the long L word and B word. So lactobacillus and bifidobacterium are going to be good ones. Saccharomyces boulardii is a good one, particularly if you've got some concerns for yeast in the body. But sometimes the best thing to do is doing functional diagnostic testing, where you can kind of look at the strains of the bacteria and what one's going to be most beneficial. Other times it's a little bit of a trial and error, which plenty of people do. And so if you've tried a probiotic and it did not agree with you, it may have been the wrong strain, or you need to do some cleaning up of the diet first before, you know, adding the probiotic in as well. So what about toxic overload? We all have toxic overload. Even when we're eating healthy, it's sadly unavailable. Our exposures to toxins are just everywhere. We are exposed on a daily basis because of the pesticides on the food, the contamination of the water, the pollutants in the air, and the chemicals in household products. So that's something else to look at. You can certainly make your own cleaning products. You know, go on Pinterest. There's stuff all over Pinterest on how to do this. So to reduce and prevent this toxic overload, begin by eating organic, non-genetically modified food as much as possible. You may need to use an air purification system in your home, or putting a water filter on your faucet, or getting like a zero water pitcher. And then toxic-free household items. This is, you know, where thankfully, you know, with the internet, you can go like on Pinterest and find recipes for all kinds of things you can do this way. And to further detox from these toxins, begin by improving your nutrition through the healthy diet of whole organic foods, and make sure you're drinking adequate fluids, water, because this helps flush out your system, helps flush out those toxins. And also consider intermittent fasting, regular exercise, and sweating. Sweating helps clear the toxins. One way to do this, besides exercise, is with infrared saunas if you have access to one. A little bit about intermittent fasting. Basically, that means you go, let's see, you eat 8 hours, and then the other hours of the day that you're fasting. So a lot of people quit eating like at 5 in the evening, and then they don't eat again till the next day. They wait about 16 hours, and then you eat for 8 hours. So 16 hours no eating, 8 hours eating. And that's basically what intermittent fasting is. So it's certainly achievable, and there's a lot of research around that, improving health, longevity, and reducing inflammation in the body. So if you're worrying about these toxic exposures weren't enough already, then we have to worry about underlying infections that can keep you from feeling well. And this can be different, potentially pathogen-producing bacteria and viruses and parasites and fungi. Acute infections are usually fought off by your immune system. However, chronic infections are not. Instead, your immune system is under continuing to fight these chronic infections, and they're not able to remove the pathogen. And this leads to health problems indefinitely and are a severe hindrance to achieving a healthy gut. Unfortunately, many of the conventional medicines of handling infections also compromise gut health, such as the acid medications, the steroids, and the antibiotics. It can often be hard to identify these bugs as well. I've seen this time and time again. You know, if you do standard like stool testing or blood testing, you really oftentimes can't pick up these underlying bugs in your intestinal tract. And that's where the functional testing can come into play. Functional diagnostic testing. There are newer tests out there are actually looking at DNA markers. And I've been doing more of those tests here recently, and I know of 2 cases I've just had in the past month or 2 where they had the $1 million GI workup and were really suffering from symptoms. And it was through these DNA marker testing that we found bugs that were contributing to their health issues. And then we could zero in and pinpoint that bug and address it and try to get these people feeling better and feeling healthier and having a better quality of life. So there are, you know, tests out there that can help us with this. So we've talked about a lot of different things. What we have not talked about is stress. We are under a lot of stress on a day-to-day basis. We are plugged in constantly, like you are now listening to me on this webinar, but other things such as poor diet, most people aren't getting enough sleep, they're under decision fatigue because we've got so many things coming at us so all the time. I've even, you know, stress from overtraining. So if you're trying to lose weight, and I've seen this a lot with women, they're trying to lose weight, they're eating next to nothing, they're working with a personal trainer, and they're gaining weight. And that the reason they're gaining weight is because their body's under so much stress, and this is creating more inflammation. So there's been times I've had to tell women to not exercise while we work on healing them, which is counterintuitive, I know, but sometimes that's almost what it takes. So that being said, it is apparent that stress is a big deal, and it's definitely going to affect the health of our gut and that gut microbiome. That stress has a direct relationship with the gut microbiome, and that is because when we are under stress, it will cause your IgA, that's the immunoglobulin in your gut, that's your immune system in your gut, it will cause it to plummet. So trying to find ways to manage stress is going to be imperative through this process of healing. So just doing a food elimination may help you, but if you're under horrendous amounts of stress, you're going to be hitting a brick wall until we start to deal with some of those stressors. Now, we know stress is unavoidable, but there are some things that you can do. Starting with improving your nutrition, as we've talked about, but doing deep breathing exercises, going for a walk, doing meditation or yoga, finding activities that you like to do, just spend time outdoors or playing. You know, we don't know how to play anymore, I don't think, me included. You know, we all need to work on this. So now the next part I'm going to talk to you about is really, really important. So if you haven't gotten that piece of paper and a pen yet, now is the time to do that. Because I'm going to talk to you about the 4 R's and how to go about healing your gut. Thankfully, it is possible to reverse intestinal damage and heal from digestive distress and rebalance your microbiome and repair your overall gut health. Following the functional medicine's 4R protocol is an incredible tool to truly uncover your health issues, your nutritional needs, your digestive dysfunction, and your bacterial imbalances. So let's start with the first R. The first R is remove. That means eliminating problem foods through food elimination, reducing the toxins, addressing low-grade infections, and the oxidative stress. So that, again, is taking out the foods, getting all the toxic cleaning products and skincare products out of your home. And to address low-grade infections, this may require testing, but sometimes if you can take out these foods and toxins, your gut health and your immune system in your gut has less that it's going to have to compete with then, and you may start to heal those infections all by yourself by giving your body a fighting chance just through those lifestyle changes. So number 1 is remove. Number 2 is replace. So the next step, you begin reintroducing these clean foods into your diet, more nutrient dense foods, because you need those nutrients to support a healthy gut microbiome. And one of the things that the good bacteria in your gut love is fiber, making sure you're getting enough fiber-rich foods because they feed off of that fiber. And when we're not getting that, then that means the bad bacteria have more opportunity to take over. Step number 3 is repopulate. Repopulate your gut with healthy bacteria to restore the proper balance of gut flora. So this can be done sometimes with a probiotic, but other times this is consuming pre and probiotic foods. So you can just do a Google search on pre and probiotic foods. This is going to be things like onions and garlic and artichokes and berries and bananas. These are all really good sources for this. And the last step is repair. So we want to replace digestive enzymes when necessary. Add in any antioxidants if we need those, and immune boosting vitamins to promote sustainable and healthy digestion. Sometimes we need a little help. Yes, it would be great if we get it all in our diet, but our food supply is so nutrient depleted, even when we're eating healthy, that sometimes we're still going to need to replace some of these nutrients as well. So the 4 R's provide an effective starting place as a way to start healing that gut dysfunction that you're having. And then if you need to take things a step further, functional medicine practitioners are trained in this protocol and help you work through this 4R healing process based on your individual needs. So gut health is truly the pathway to optimizing your health transformation. Other ways to provide your good gut health include you may need specific supplements or nutrients that help the immune system, such as vitamin D and zinc, omega-3s. Glutathione's a big one. Glutathione, our bodies produce naturally and help our body detoxify. But sometimes if we're deficient in that, we may need replacement. I don't usually recommend taking glutathione supplements because they get broken down too quickly in the gut and deactivate them unless they're in a liposomal base. Other times I'll recommend something like NAC to help with that, N-acetylcysteine. Other things to promote good gut health is the mind-body practices, just trying to relax and do the deep breathing and the meditation and staying hydrated and not self-medicating with caffeine and alcohol, increasing that fiber. All those things are going to really help optimize that gut microbiome. Now, I know I've provided you with a lot of information this evening, and you're probably wondering, where do I start? First and foremost, determine, what is your goal? It's one thing for me to provide you with this information or to make recommendations, but ultimately, what is your goal? Are you looking to improve your overall health, or are you looking to improve a specific problem? Is this something you feel you can do on your own, or do you need help with it? Did you try to get help, but were told everything is normal, and so you kind of gave up, or you were given a Band-Aid approach with the medication, and that just made you feel worse? I know what it feels like to not be heard, to feel like no one cares about you getting well. That is what I felt like with my daughter all those years ago. And I had to figure it out on my own then. I don't want you to be left hanging trying to figure this out on your own. I had to be an advocate for my daughter. I want to help you. I want you to feel listened to. I want your symptoms to be validated. You know, and unfortunately, just the way our healthcare system is today in the conventional medical setting, trying to get someone to listen to you can be really, really, really difficult because of the demands even being placed on the healthcare practitioners. And that's a whole nother subject which I could get into and get off on a tangent, but I won't. So, you know, we need Western medicine. It saves lives. It's saved many people in my family's lives in recent years in particular. However, given some of these unique health challenges that we are facing today, figuring out how to help these chronic health conditions, which is a national crisis, Western medicine may not have the answers for them, because the training is, how do we manage symptoms, not how do we figure out what the root cause is and try to get you healed. I think that's changing, but we have such a long ways to go. Your health really begins with you, but wouldn't it be nice if someone could help you, set you on the right path? And that's one of the things that is my mission to do, is to really try to help you get started on the right path. And that's where now I'm just going to tell you about my Heal Your Gut program, which I'm really excited to share with you. I've been working on this for the last several weeks and to bring this to you. And it's called the Heal Your Gut program. And it's an 8-week transformational program to help restore your gut health. And this is where you don't have to do it alone. We can work together as a group to restore your gut health, to figure out what your unique healthy gut blueprint is. We go into more in depth about what foods fuel your body and which ones can help that good bacteria, and how do we get rid of toxins, and how do we work on fatigue, and so much more, so that we can get you feeling better. There's a lot contained within this program that I want to share with you. So if you're wondering, well, why should I do this program? Why should I invest in this program? I'm going to be there with you, guiding you every step of the way. And as you can see here, there's a lot of information in this program. I know making any change can feel overwhelming and scary. The beauty of being in a group, though, is that you will have other people doing this program with you. So you have a built-in support system. That also means there are only a limited number of openings within the group. And you can join the group by clicking on the button on the right. But as you can see, so what's going to happen in this program is you'll get access to all the information right away, but I would recommend not going in there and just trying to do everything at once. It's really set out in a week-by-week segments. And we're going to go 1 week at a time. You're going to get 4 bi-weekly guides that are just got a lot of information in it to help take you step by step on things you can start applying to your life to try to help optimize your gut health, which is really important. I'm also going to do bi-weekly Facebook Lives. So the first week that we get on will be on Monday, July 21st, and these will be at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. And during this, I will be answering any questions that you may have for that week. We'll be sharing experiences. So the first week we'll just kind of do some introductions and go over a lot of what's in the course. Then we're going to delve into a lot more into your gut health and food sensitivities. We'll talk about food combining. We're going to talk about mind-body connection and how this creates a roadblock to improving your gut health. And then what steps you can take moving forward as well. Another nice thing with the program, you're going to get a lot of chef approved recipes. These are recipes that I did not come up with. These are recipes by nutritionists and chefs specific to helping the gut heal. That they don't contain any gluten or dairy. There are recipes for people that are meat eaters and people that are vegetarian. So each week you get a complete meal plan and you get a complete shopping list of what you're going to need for that week. And then there's going to be several supplemental handouts, and you'll want to keep a food diary as well. So this is a really a packed program. Some of the other things you can see here, kind of reading through, besides giving you recipes, we're going to look at ways to give your kitchen a facelift, to try to get some of those things out of the kitchen that may be keeping you from advancing and improving your health. We're going to look at what are the good versus bad bacteria, and so much more. I'm really quite excited about this program and was anxious to share it with you. But even the information you learned tonight, if you apply just some of those principles, it could take you a long way. One of the benefits of being in a group, it's like an accountability as well. It's a way for you to be accountable and have a checks and balance in place, and also to get the support that you need. So you might be wondering what the investment in this program is. So starting tonight, you can get in on the early bird introductory offer up for only $247 now through January 13th. After January 13th, the price does go up to $297, and the registration deadline is January 20th. So the investment, if you were to go out and try to get all of this information on your own, or to spend the amount of time with me that you're going to be getting in this program, program's easily worth $1,997. So it's a really good investment in your health. If you think about how much have you spent on doctor's visits, how much time, not only in the cost of the medical visit, but your time and frustration with your quality of life, or the amount that you've spent haphazardly, either with over-the-counter supplements trying to figure it out, or with medications that you've been taking. Wouldn't you like to get off of those acid-reducing medications? That's one of the things that you'll learn, how you can do that as well, is things like that. So it's a really good investment in your health. And I would be happy to take any questions that you may have about the program or about gut health in general at this time. And certainly if you know someone that would benefit from this program, please share it with them. If you're ready to get started, just click on the link to get started with the program yourself. Now, some people may be wondering, am I going to be starving on this program? No, not at all. There are recipes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's lots of snacks. So there's lots of food options there. I don't think in any way you'll go hungry on this program. Some people might wonder, can I still work out on this program? Yes, you can still work out on this program. If you feel tired or have low energy anyway, then you're probably going to want to give your body a bit of a rest. But during this program, you will be eating protein and drinking plenty of fluids, so you should still be able to exercise. Some programs require you to take a bunch of supplements. That's not how this program's designed at all. And your need for supplements will really depend on what your unique needs are. The only supplement that I may recommend on a daily basis during the program might be a digestive enzyme or a probiotic. But really it kind of depends. Can I do this if I'm pregnant or nursing? It's a nutrient-dense program, and certainly it's basically helping you with a healthy diet. And then what about gluten and dairy? None of the recipes, as I mentioned, have any gluten or any dairy in them. I do talk about cultured foods during this program, and we go into that in a little more detail, such as kefir and other options. So that's, if you haven't been exposed to fermented foods, you're going to get exposed to that. We're going to talk more about the soaking of nuts and seeds and the phytic acid and what that does as well. Side effects, well, the side effect is hopefully you're going to feel better. That's the goal of this program. And certainly before you start any program, if you have any major health issues or concerns, you may want to consult with your health practitioner. But really, there's really nothing controversial in this program. We're talking about healthy eating. We're talking about ways to optimize your health and well-being overall. And this program in no way is meant to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. It is designed to help you improve your health, bottom line. So, we're going to get ready to wrap up here. So if anybody has any further questions, I would be happy to answer those now. Now's your chance to ask questions if you want. I'll give it here just a couple more minutes and make sure that no one has any further questions. And if you're ready to get started with the program, certainly do. So Diane asked, do we have to follow recipes you share, or can we make our own from the food list? Yes, you can absolutely make your own from the food list. You absolutely can. The recipes within the program are just a guide, strictly a guide. You can follow it to the letter, or you can utilize some of the foods given to you for that week and be creative and make up your own foods as well. So that's truly up to you. How much time per week does this program take? I honestly would allow as little as an hour a week. That really kind of depends. It's not going to take you that long to read through the information that's in there. Part of the bigger time consumer, you might say, was just how much time you spend on meal prep or going and getting your groceries. But the recipes that are in this that were developed, you're welcome, Diane, were meant to not be complicated. One thing that I see with some programs is that they contain so many ingredients and require so much prep time. So let me give you an example of an easy thing that you can do that doesn't take a lot of prep time. I do this myself sometimes. Is to get started for the day, I'll take some almond milk and a couple tablespoons of chia seeds, and those expand in the almond milk. And chia seeds are high in fiber and protein and omegas. And then you can put some fresh, like raspberries or blueberries or whatever, on top. And you can prepare that in, less than 5 minutes. So there are going to be some great recipes. So that'll probably take up the most time. And then the Facebook Lives will be every other week. I will be on Facebook Live and with you in the program, starting with the first week and then every 2 weeks thereafter. And the idea of the Facebook Live too is to help you interact with each other and support each other and share your experiences as well. And so Jean asks, what if you don't do Facebook? How important is that aspect of the program? If you don't do Facebook, you're still going to get huge benefit from the program. The idea behind the Facebook group is to give you a chance to interact with each other. Now, if I find, people want to do something outside of the Facebook group, we certainly could do that, whether we do like a phone call or something like that. Also, Jean, I think there might be a way in Facebook where you can download a live session and I can upload it to a YouTube video that I put unlisted and could give you a link maybe. Don't quote me on that, but I think you might be able to do that. Mary says, I just joined this webinar a few minutes ago. Can I hear it from the beginning somehow? Yes, Mary, since you're registered for this webinar, you'll get an email with a replay. If you do not get the email with the replay link, let me know and I will be able to get that for you. What are the program dates? So the program starts on January 21st, and then we will meet live every other week on Facebook. So we'll meet the 21st. I can look at my calendar here and give you the other dates. February 4th, February 18th, and March 4th would be the last live Facebook session. So it will be every other week that we are meeting for the program. So the actual program starts on the 21st. The deadline for registration is the 20th. Sherry says, is grapeseed oil good to cook with on high heat, and is it good for your gut? Grapeseed oil is good, but I do believe you can use it at a greater temperature, such as what you can with coconut oil as well. Will you be offering this session again in the future, Jean? Yes, Jean. I'm not sure when that'll be. I may be offering this session again later this year sometime, maybe in the fall. So that is a good possibility that this will be offered again, yes. Okay, any other questions? Okay, like I said, if you're interested, get yourself signed up while you can for the early bird investment of $247. And that only is good through the 13th. After that, the price does go up. And if you do have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. There will be a replay, so if you did miss some of this webinar tonight, you'll be able to hear that. So you should be getting an email with a replay link. If you do not within the next 24 hours, I think it comes out within the next 24 hours, then just let me know, and I certainly will get that information to you as well. Okay, so wow, I want to thank you for taking the time this evening to join me for the Fix Your Gut, Save Your Life webinar. This is a subject that I am passionate about sharing, as I shared the story of my daughter and even my own health challenges. I truly believe, and science is finally starting to validate, that many diseases start in the gut, just as the father of medicine Hippocrates told us over 2,000 years ago. I would love to help you transform and achieve optimal health, so I hope you will join me for the Heal Your Gut program. Before we go, if there's any last minute questions, please just go ahead, put them in the chat box here, and if not, I will let you guys go for the evening. I'm just going to wait just a second longer here to make sure that no one has any further questions. Okay, if there are no further questions, I hope you'll join me for this program. I would love to have you in that group. I think we could have a lot of fun and learn a lot from each other. And again, if you know someone that would benefit from this and was unable to be here tonight, be sure and share this information with them as well. And I wish you all the best. And thank you for the you're welcome, Christy. Great to hear you, Laura. Thanks, Diane. I appreciate that. I really appreciate you all being here. I mean, this is a subject near and dear to my heart, and I sometimes kind of get emotional about it because I just know it's the one way we can all start healing. You know, it's just kind of a mess out there in a lot of ways. And thank you, Sherry. I appreciate it. So if there's no other questions tonight, I'm going to sign off with you. And again, I would love to have you in the group with me. I think it will be a great way to give you some tools to be in control of your own health. So thank you all. I really appreciate your time and attention and your comments. And I want you to have a great evening. All right, thanks. Good night.